Ethan Cole had never expected to be standing in the middle of an alien palace. The walls around him glowed faintly with colors he had no names for, and the air hummed softly with energy. It was quiet, too quiet, except for the soft clicking of his own boots against the smooth floor. His heart beat fast, but he tried not to show it. Humans were not supposed to be here. Most of them would have turned back long ago, too scared to face the unknown. But Ethan was not most humans. He was curious, brave, and stubborn, even when danger was obvious. The Solari Dominion was a species that many humans feared. They were taller than humans, with long limbs and skin that shimmered like polished metal under certain lights. Their eyes could seem empty, yet somehow they could read everything inside a person's mind. Rumors said they could sense fear, hope, and even lies, though no human had ever proven that for certain. Ethan had read about them in old reports, heard the stories told by soldiers, but nothing could have prepared him for actually being in their palace. A quiet voice spoke behind him, soft but firm. "Ethan Cole," it said. He turned slowly to see her. Queen Lyrna stepped forward, her form elegant and tall. She wore a robe that seemed alive, flowing with colors that shifted as she moved. Her eyes were bright, almost golden, and they seemed to look straight into his thoughts. He swallowed hard and straightened his back, trying to appear confident. "You are human," she said simply, as if stating a fact that was obvious. "Yes, Your Majesty," Ethan said, keeping his voice steady. He had practiced politeness, had prepared for many possible situations, but nothing could truly prepare a human for a Solari queen's gaze. Queen Lyrna tilted her head slightly. "Do you understand why you are here?" Ethan nodded. "I was told to come and speak with you." She walked closer, and Ethan could feel the air shift. There was something in the way she moved, slow and deliberate, that made him instinctively pay attention to every detail. "Most humans fear us," she said, "but you do not seem afraid." Ethan's lips pressed together. He had to be careful. "I am not afraid, Your Majesty," he said. "I have learned that fear is not always useful. Sometimes it stops people from seeing the truth." The queen's golden eyes seemed to flicker with surprise. She studied him silently for a long moment. Ethan held his gaze, refusing to look away. There was a silence, heavy and tense, and then she spoke again. "Why do humans continue to fight for each other, even when there is no hope?" The question hung in the air. Ethan could feel the weight of it pressing down, not just on him, but on the guards and attendants who had followed him into the chamber. He knew that this was not a question any human had ever been asked by a Solari before. He opened his mouth, thinking carefully, because every life matters. He said finally, "Even when the odds are against us, even when death seems certain, we fight because we believe that every person has value. We fight for each other because we hope that our actions will create a better future. Even if we cannot see it ourselves." Queen Lyrna's expression did not change at first. Then, very slowly, she raised a hand to her face and touched her temple. Ethan noticed that the gesture was almost like she was trying to hold back some thought, some feeling. The guards shifted uneasily, whispering among themselves. But the queen held up her hand and they fell silent immediately. "You speak boldly for a human," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was a flicker of curiosity in her tone. No human has ever answered that way. Most would lie, or they would remain silent. "Why do you speak truthfully?" Ethan shrugged slightly. "Because truth matters," he said, "even when it is dangerous, even when it is not what someone expects to hear. Lying only delays the inevitable. I would rather face the consequences of truth than hide behind a mask." The queen's eyes narrowed, and Ethan could see a faint glow behind them, as if she were thinking very hard about something. "Most humans are small creatures, weak and frightened," she said quietly. "Yet you are here. You are not small. You are not afraid. You are different." Ethan shifted his weight slightly. "I am not perfect," he admitted. "I make mistakes, like all humans. But I believe that courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to act, even when fear is present." Queen Lyrna took a step closer. Ethan could feel the hum of energy around her. "You are wise," she said softly, almost as if speaking to herself. Perhaps humans are more than I believed. Ethan felt a small flicker of relief. He had no idea what would happen next, but he knew he had gained a small measure of respect from the Queen. That was something no human had ever achieved before. Then the Queen said something that made his stomach tighten. "Tell me more about your species. Why do humans laugh even when life is cruel? Why do you help strangers even when there is no reward? Why do you risk everything for people you barely know?" Ethan took a deep breath. He had been preparing for this moment in his own mind, but speaking it aloud was different. Humans laugh because it helps us survive. Even in the darkest times, laughter reminds us that there is still light. We help strangers because we understand that every life is connected. No one exists in isolation. And we risk everything because hope is stronger than fear. It is hope that drives us forward even when the path is impossible. Queen Lyrna listened in silence, her expression unreadable. Ethan could feel her studying him as if she were trying to understand not just his words, but the entire human species. "You speak like a teacher," she said finally. "But you are a student. How can one so young hold such understanding?" Ethan smiled faintly. "I have learned from those around me," he said. "From friends, from mentors, from my family. Humans learn by experience. We watch, we listen, we try to understand, and then we act. That is how we grow." The Queen did not respond immediately. Instead, she walked to a large window that overlooked the city beyond the palace. The skyline was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Towers reached high into the clouds, glowing softly with energy. Ships moved silently through the air, leaving trails of light. It was beautiful and dangerous and alive. "This world," she said quietly, "has never known a human like you. You speak with courage. You speak with honesty. You speak with hope. And yet, you are so fragile." Ethan stepped closer, careful to keep his movements respectful. "Fragile?" he asked. "Yes," she said, turning her eyes back to him. "Your body, your species, your lives. They are not strong in the way the Solari are strong. And yet, your spirit is remarkable. It burns brighter than any fire I have seen." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. For a human to hear such praise from a Solari queen was almost unimaginable. He had spent his life believing humans were ordinary. But here, in this glowing palace, facing an alien monarch, he felt extraordinary. "Your words honor me, your majesty," he said softly. "But I do not consider myself special. I am simply a human. That is all." Queen Lyrna studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "Perhaps that is why you are special," she said. "Because you are simply yourself, and yet you carry the strength of your entire species within you. Perhaps humans have something Solari do not, something we have lost." The guards shifted again, uncertain of what was happening. No human had ever been allowed to speak so freely with the Queen. Ethan knew that any mistake could be fatal. Yet, he felt no fear. He felt only a sense of purpose, a sense that he was meant to be here. Speaking the truths that no one else dared to say, "Ethan Cole," the Queen said finally, her voice firm, "You will remain here, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as someone who speaks truth. You will teach us, in your way, what it means to be human. And in return, I will teach you the ways of my people, so that you may survive and help others survive. Do you accept this?" Ethan swallowed, feeling the weight of the moment. This was more than he had ever imagined. This was more than any human had ever achieved. And yet, he knew that the answer was clear. "I accept, Your Majesty," he said. "I will do my best." The Queen nodded, her eyes glowing faintly with a mix of curiosity and approval. "Then begin, Ethan Cole. Begin by telling me why your people fight, why your people hope, and why your people survive, even when all seems lost." And so, Ethan began to speak. His words were simple, but they carried the weight of an entire species. He spoke of courage, of love, of sacrifice, of laughter, and of hope. And as he spoke, Queen Lyrna listened, stunned by the truths of humanity that had never reached her ears before. For the first time in her life, the Queen wondered if humans might be more than a fragile species. Perhaps they were something Solari could learn from. Perhaps, and their simplicity. They carried a power greater than any weapon, greater than any fleet, greater than anything she had ever known. And in that glowing palace, standing before a human who spoke nothing but truth, Queen Lyrna began to see the world differently. Ethan spent the next hours walking through the palace with Queen Lyrna. She showed him rooms he had never imagined, halls filled with glowing patterns, gardens that floated in midair, and fountains that shimmered with colors he had no names for. Everywhere he looked, he felt both amazed and cautious. The Solarii were a powerful people, and he knew one wrong move could make him a prisoner or worse. Despite the beauty, Ethan noticed tension in the air. Guards whispered quietly among themselves, and some cast suspicious glances at him. Ethan wondered what they thought of a human standing beside the queen, talking as freely as if he were one of their own. He tried not to let it bother him, but he knew humans were outsiders here. He was living on borrowed trust. Queen Lyrna seemed to notice his thoughts. "You are not like other humans," she said as they walked. "Other humans fear us. They do not speak freely. They do not dare to answer questions truthfully. And yet you carry honesty in your words. That is remarkable." Ethan smiled faintly. "I cannot pretend to be something I am not," he said. "I have learned that hiding the truth only makes things worse. If you want to understand humans, you must hear what we really think, even if it is uncomfortable." The queen stopped and looked at him. "Your words are brave. Some might call them foolish. But perhaps foolishness and bravery are closer than most realize." Ethan nodded. "Maybe, but we humans survive by being brave. We survive by choosing to act even when fear tells us to run. We survive by helping each other, by protecting each other, even when it is dangerous. That is how we grow stronger." Queen Lyrna walked on, her golden eyes thoughtful. "Your people are strange, so fragile, yet so strong, so small, yet so powerful in ways I cannot fully understand." They reached a balcony that overlooked the city below. Ships moved silently through the air, leaving trails of light, and the towers of the city shimmered like jewels. Ethan could see Solarii citizens walking below, some carrying glowing devices, others talking in strange sounds that his translator barely converted to words he could understand. It was beautiful and alien. "This city," Ethan said, "it is amazing. But it must take years to learn all of its rules, all of its ways." Queen Lyrna nodded. "Yes, and yet even we, who were born here, sometimes fail to understand it. We follow tradition, rules, and logic. But humans, you follow something else: hope, curiosity, courage. I do not know if we have ever truly understood it." Ethan looked at her. "Maybe your people could learn from humans," he said quietly. "Maybe we are not so different, after all. We all want to survive, to protect what we love, to make a future for those who come after us. The way we do it is different, but the goal is the same." The queen fell silent for a moment, then spoke softly. "Perhaps you are right. And yet, there are those among my people who will never accept a human so close to the throne. They will see you as a threat." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had suspected as much, but hearing it from the queen confirmed his fears. "What will they do?" he asked. "They will try to stop you," she said. "Some will try to remove you quietly. Others may act openly. You must be careful, Ethan Cole. Not all Solarii think as I do." Ethan nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will be careful. But I cannot hide either. I cannot speak the truth while hiding in fear. That is not what humans do." The queen's eyes glowed faintly as she studied him. "You are remarkable. Perhaps that is why I have not sent you away. Perhaps you were meant to be here, not just as a visitor, but as someone who changes things. Someone who makes my people see the world differently." Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and fear. He had never thought of himself as powerful. He was just a human, after all, and humans were weak compared to the Solarii. But standing here, beside the queen, he realized that power did not always come from strength alone. Sometimes it came from ideas, from courage, from truth. As they walked, a young Solarii named Lyra approached. She was tall and graceful, with silver hair and eyes that reflected the light of the palace. "Your Majesty," she said, bowing slightly. "The council requests your presence. There are disagreements about your human guest." Queen Lyrna's expression hardened slightly. "I know," she said. "Tell them I will come. And you, stay close to him. He is not safe alone." Ethan blinked. "Not safe?" he asked. Lyra gave him a serious look. "There are those who do not trust humans. There are those who believe you are dangerous simply because you exist. You must be careful." Ethan nodded. He had suspected danger, but now it felt real. "I will be careful," he said. The queen led him into a large chamber where the council waited. It was filled with tall Scifi, all dressed in elaborate robes, their expressions cold and calculating. Ethan felt every eye on him, and he knew that every guard in the room expected him to fail. "You brought a human here," one of them said, his voice sharp and suspicious. "Do you not understand the risk, Your Majesty?" Queen Lyrna ignored the question and looked at Ethan. "Tell them what I have learned," she said softly. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady. "I am not here to harm anyone. I am here to speak the truth about humans. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fight, we laugh, we hope, and we protect each other. That is our nature. We survive because we choose to act, even when the odds are against us. And that is why I am here to show that even a fragile species can carry strength beyond measure." The council fell silent. Ethan could see the shock in their eyes. They had never heard a human speak with such confidence. Some whispered quietly, but no one interrupted. One of the counselors, a tall Scifi with a sharp face named Varek, finally spoke. "You speak boldly, human. But do you not fear death? Do you not fear our power?" Ethan shook his head. "Fear is natural," he said, "but courage is more important. Humans fear, yes, but we act anyway. That is how we survive. That is how we protect the ones we love. That is how we make the impossible possible." Varek's eyes narrowed. "And you expect us to believe this? That a weak human, standing before the queen, can teach us anything about strength?" Ethan met his gaze without flinching. "I did not ask you to believe me," he said calmly. "I ask you to watch, to listen, and to consider that strength does not always come from power alone. Sometimes it comes from choice, from action, from hope." Queen Lyrna watched him, her expression unreadable. "He speaks the truth," she said. "Perhaps more truth than any Scifi has heard in a long time." Varek stepped forward, his voice rising. "You risk the safety of the Dominion, Queen Lyrna. A human here, speaking freely, influencing your decisions. This is unacceptable. I will not allow it." Ethan's heart beat faster, but he remained calm. "I do not seek to influence with force," he said. "I only speak truth. That is all humans can offer." Lyra stepped forward, placing herself between Ethan and Varek. "He is not alone," she said firmly. "The queen has chosen to protect him. Any attack will be met with resistance." Varek glared, but the queen raised a hand. "Enough," she said. "You will not speak further against him. You will listen, as I do. Humans have something to teach us, whether you like it or not. And you, Varek, must learn that strength is not always measured by power alone." Varek's jaw tightened, and he bowed his head slightly, but Ethan could see the anger in his eyes. He knew Varek would not forget this moment after the council meeting. Lyra guided Ethan back to a quieter part of the palace. "You must be careful," she said. "Not all Scifi will accept your presence. Some will try to harm you while the queen is distracted." Ethan nodded. "I understand, but I cannot hide. I cannot stop speaking the truth." Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Then you are human," she said. "And humans, they are not easily stopped once they choose their path." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess that is true." As night fell over the glowing city, Ethan stood on a balcony with Queen Lyrna once again. The city lights shimmered below, and he felt a strange sense of both danger and hope. He knew the days ahead would be difficult. There were those among the Scifi who would try to remove him, who would try to stop the truth from spreading. But Ethan also knew that he was not alone. The queen had chosen to trust him, and a few others had shown loyalty. Perhaps humans and Scifi could find a way to understand each other. Perhaps hope could survive even in the most alien of places. And with that thought, Ethan prepared himself for the challenges ahead. He was a human, fragile and small, yet filled with a courage that no weapon could destroy. And he would show the Solari that even the smallest species could carry a light that might change the galaxy forever. Ethan woke early the next day, feeling the weight of the palace around him. The walls glowed softly, and the distant hum of energy seemed almost alive. He moved quietly through the halls, careful not to draw attention. Even though the Queen had shown him kindness and trust, he knew that Varric and his supporters were still watching, waiting for a chance to act. He found Lyra waiting for him near a long corridor. Her eyes were sharp, alert, and serious. "We must be cautious today," she said quietly. "Varric is not idle. He is gathering those who oppose the Queen. He will try something soon." Ethan nodded. "What should I do?" he asked. "Stay close to the Queen and follow my lead," Lyra said. "You are human. They cannot fully understand you. That may give you an advantage. But do not forget they will act quickly if they see an opportunity." Ethan swallowed. He had been in dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. He was surrounded by a species stronger and faster than humans, and yet he could not run. He had to face whatever came, and he had to do it with courage. The Queen appeared shortly after, moving with her usual grace. "Good morning, Ethan," she said. "Are you ready for today?" "I am ready, Your Majesty," he replied. She studied him carefully. "Remember, Varric does not understand humans. He will underestimate your determination. That is your strength." They walked together to the council chambers. The air inside was tense, filled with Solari advisors and soldiers. Ethan could feel the silent judgment of those who did not trust him. Some glanced at him with suspicion, others with barely hidden anger. Varric stepped forward, his expression sharp. "Queen Lyrina," he said, "your decision to keep this human close is reckless. You place the Dominion at risk." The Queen did not flinch. "Varric," she said firmly, "you have made your opinion clear. Now listen. Humans have something to teach us, something we have forgotten. And I will not ignore that lesson." Ethan stepped forward slightly. His heart raced, but he kept his voice calm. "I am not here to harm anyone," he said. "I am here to speak the truth. Humans are not perfect, but we survive because we act, even when fear tells us to run. We protect each other because we believe life is valuable. That is why I am here." The chamber fell silent. Varric's face darkened. "You speak boldly, human, but words will not protect you from those who follow me." Ethan looked at him directly. "I do not seek protection. I seek understanding. That is the only way to survive, whether human or Solari." Some of the advisors shifted uncomfortably. Ethan noticed a few guards exchange glances. Even among those loyal to Varric, doubts seemed to stir. Ethan realized that his words were having an effect, even if Varric did not show it. Suddenly, alarms blared through the palace. Red lights flashed, and the hum of energy intensified. Ethan felt the tension rise instantly. Lyra grabbed his arm. "They are moving," she said. "Varric has started his coup." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had known it might happen, but hearing the alarms made it real. Guards rushed past, shouting orders in the Solari language, and Ethan felt the weight of the moment. He was in danger, but he could not run. The Queen's safety depended on him. "Stay behind me," the Queen said softly, moving toward a side exit. "I will not leave this chamber while danger is present. If you value your life, stay close." Ethan nodded and followed. They moved through a series of corridors, the palace now alive with the sound of running footsteps and alarms. He caught glimpses of Solari soldiers moving purposefully, some attacking, some defending. He had no weapon, no shield, only his courage and his wits. Varric appeared suddenly in the hallway ahead, flanked by a group of armed Solari. His eyes glowed with anger. "Queen Lyrina," he said, "step aside. This human's influence ends today." Ethan stepped forward, placing himself between the Queen and Varric. "You will not harm her," he said firmly. "If you want to test me, you will find humans are not as weak as you think." Varric's expression flickered. He had expected fear, hesitation, or weakness. But Ethan stood there, small and human, yet unflinching, and it unsettled him. "Do you think words alone can stop us?" Varric hissed. "They can," Ethan replied quietly, "because courage can stop fear, and truth can stop lies. You may have power, but you lack understanding. That is your weakness." For a moment, Varric hesitated. The guards around him were unsure. Ethan seized the moment. He moved quickly, guiding the queen behind a corner, using the architecture of the palace to shield them. He did not have weapons, but he had knowledge of human strategy: move, hide, observe, and act. The queen watched him carefully. "You are brave," she said, "but reckless." "I am human," Ethan said with a small smile. "Bravery is part of who we are." Lyra appeared beside them, bowing slightly. "We can reach a safe chamber if we move now," she said. "Follow me." The three of them ran through twisting corridors, avoiding Varric's soldiers. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained calm. He realized that humans survive by adapting, by thinking quickly, and by never giving up. That was why he was still alive. They reached a chamber deep within the palace. It was quiet, and the doors could be sealed from the inside. Ethan helped the queen inside, then turned to Lyra. "Do we have time to rest?" "He asked to know," Lyra said. "Varric will not stop. He will search every corridor until he finds you. We must act, not rest." Ethan nodded. He felt the adrenaline and fear mixed with determination. Humans were small, fragile, and weak compared to the Solarii, but they had a quality that no power could destroy: hope and courage. The queen looked at him. "Ethan Cole, you risk your life for me." Wine Ethan met her eyes. "Because you are not just a queen," he said. "You are someone who listens, who learns, who can change your people. Humans protect those who matter. I cannot stand by while someone willing to see truth is in danger." Queen Lyrna's eyes softened. "You are remarkable, Ethan. Even now, in danger, your words carry weight." Ethan realized something important. Courage was not just about facing danger. It was about acting for what was right, even when survival seemed impossible. He felt a strange sense of connection to the queen, not just as an ally, but as someone who shared a vision of hope. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the corridors. Varric's soldiers had broken through another door. Ethan grabbed a piece of metal from the chamber and prepared to defend. He had never fought Solarii before, but he had human ingenuity. He knew he could use his small size and quick thinking to outmaneuver them. The soldiers entered the chamber, and Ethan acted quickly. He pushed a lever, causing part of the floor to shift, blocking one entrance. Lyra moved to flank the remaining soldiers, and the queen used her telepathic abilities to confuse their minds for a brief moment. Ethan realized that humans survive by working together, just as he and Lyra had done. The fight was brief but intense. Varric's soldiers were strong, but disorganized. Ethan used every advantage he could find, moving quickly, thinking ahead, and staying calm under pressure. One by one, the soldiers were forced to retreat. Finally, silence fell. Ethan breathed heavily, sweat running down his face. The queen looked at him, and he saw a mixture of respect and amazement. "You have done well," she said. "Few Solarii could have acted as you did." Ethan shook his head. "I am not a Solarii," he said. "I am a human, and humans survive because we do not give up, because we act when others hesitate." The queen smiled faintly. "You are teaching me more than I thought possible. Even now, I see the strength of your species." Ethan felt a sense of relief. The immediate danger had passed, but he knew Varric was still out there, plotting, waiting for another chance. He also knew that the struggle was far from over. He looked at the queen and Lyra. "We must prepare," he said. "We cannot just wait for Varric to attack again. We need a plan, and we need allies." The queen nodded. "You are right, Ethan Cole. We will need courage, strategy, and hope. All three will be tested in the days to come." Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated. Yet their strength lay in something deeper than power or skill. It lay in courage, in hope, and in the willingness to act even when fear was present, and he knew that. Together with the queen, he could show the Solarii a new way forward. a way where courage and understanding could triumph over fear and hatred.